Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So ever since Lord Nebotus was released, I'm sure there might be a question that people have been asking, which is he actually the best monster in the game? How does he compare with Spekthra? And today I really just wanted to kind of talk about that and kind of give my thoughts on who is actually better, right? Because the Lord is technically the Lord. I mean, he's basically the person who started the corrupted era. Not the person, the monster that started the corrupted era. And, in general, people, he's been hyped up for quite a long time. And he does have the stats to go along with all the hype because he has the strongest attack stat. He has really great life. He has good speed and he has 5 traits, right? If you count the status casters. So he definitely has a lot going for him. But how does he compare with Spekthra, right? Because Spekthra is typically seen as the best monster in the game, right? It has access to Pierce. It's very fast. It has an amulet, which means that if you run a Taney's amulet, you basically cannot become shut down if somebody uses stamina drain, right? And obviously it has a sword as well. And, what was previously the highest attack stat in the game. So Spekthra was so broken before, but how about now, right? And overall, I just want to say, as a verdict, that I do believe that Spekthra is just better. I still believe Spekthra is the best monster in the game. And obviously, depending on how you define best, that might change. Like, let's say you don't have access to setting up whatever team you want, right? Let's say you're fighting a war and you can only use one of these monsters. Like, which one is better then? Then obviously the answer might be different depending on the circumstances. But assuming that you can actually choose these monsters' teammates, then I still say that Spekthra takes it home all day. Just on the fact that if you look at what this monster can do, right? At rank 3, it gets status caster Pierce. And I mean, do I need to say any more? Pierce is a ridiculously broken trait. Well, it's not a trait, it's a status caster, but it's kind of crazy because basically there's really nothing you can do to slow Spekthra down, right? Like the Lord, you can wall the Lord at least for a while with something like Mouseron because the Lord has all these crazy traits. Like, yes, it has anticipation, bulwark. It's just crazy, right? It has self-evasion, but it lacks that powerful gimmick to kind of break through shields and stuff. So something like Mouseron, especially being of the dark typing, can definitely take a bunch of hits from Lord Nebotus, right? Even if it runs UA, right? You potentially could also have like a Bloomeria too on your team, which is faster than the Lord, and it has anticipation itself. So, and a light. And, being a light monster, it can definitely counter this monster somewhat. But Spekthra, usually people will run it with 2 Megataunt monsters. And, Megataunt monsters of your own don't slow it down. It can basically just attack right through. And if you run it with Unrelenting Assault, obviously that's devastating if you don't have a monster with anticipation. But, you can also run it with Dispelling Fist and, get rid of the enemy's Megataunt status and then use your other monsters to kind of really just mess with the strategy. And Spekthra, generally speaking, it does such high damage that if you don't stop it within the first few turns, if it's run with 2 Megataunts, right, you basically, like, you have to shut down the Megataunt. If you don't have a Spekthra of your own to kind of counter the enemy Spekthra, then you basically have 2 turns to beat through 2 Megataunt monsters, and then you can finally attack the Spekthra. But for the Lord, it's like, even if you were using something strong like the Lord, I don't really think there are too many monsters in the game that don't have access to Pierce that can take out 2 Megataunt monsters before Spekthra ends their team. Because, realistically, if you have like one attacker on your team, like a main attacker, and Spekthra kills it, obviously, which is really easy for it to do because it can just attack right through. So Megataunt does not protect you. Then you basically lose the match, right? It's like if you lose your attacker and you're running like, maybe like a Denier or, a Megataunt monster, it's like those monsters are not equipped to do crazy amounts of damage. And obviously, if you are left fighting a Spekthra with 2 Megataunt monsters, it's like you can't break through any of that. So, most of the times I've lost in PvP, it's typically been against a Spekthra that runs like Dispelling Fist, gets rid of all of my, Megataunt monsters' protection, and then just proceeds to finish me off. And once I lose my main attacker, I basically have to quit the match. So in general, I would just say Spekthra is better just on the fact that it has Pierce, you know? So if you look at the Lord, yeah, it has 5, you know, obviously these all of these traits are assuming that you get the Lord to rank 5, and he does also have access to his own armor, which means that he can regenerate stamina as well. But in general, he doesn't need to do that because he has a, you know, area attack with 0 cooldown, 0 stamina. So in general, he doesn't really need to do that, but he can as well. And but yeah, I definitely don't believe that the Lord is as good as Spekthra because aside from his special, he doesn't have access to Pierce. And I realized that this is a big problem. Like, even when I was playing through the Era Saga, I did manage to finish it with a rank 3 level 130 Lord Nebotus, but you know, the fact that he cannot attack through shields is a big problem because, like, yes, he has crazy damage output, but Spekthra just straight up ignores shields and it ignores Pierce too. It ignores status caster evasion. Right? So even if you have self-evasion applied, Spekthra can still attack you. So unlike the Lord, Spekthra is just so much more limitless. Like, it can seriously just bypass so many things in the game that it makes it almost a necessity to run one if you really want to be top tier in the game, right? And yes, there are, you know, comments in the wiki right here that talk about running the Lord and Spekthra together because yes, Spekthra you know, might win if it fights against someone who's just using a Lord Nebotus, but if you run them together, there's actually quite a bit of synergy because you can actually use Dispelling Fist on the Spekthra and you know, get rid of the Megataunt monster on the enemy team and then use Lord Nebotus to be able to attack freely. So yeah, they have some good synergy together, especially seeing as the Lord has anticipation. So if you're fighting against another monster that has Unrelenting Assault, you know, you counter that. So yes, the Lord is very, very good. But in general, just in terms of utility, if you were to use one or the other, I would still say Spekthra is definitely better. Just because Pierce is so darn broken. Yes, the Lord is broken, but I think Spekthra is still more broken just because it has more opportunities to kind of just end things quicker, you know? Like, the Lord can get walled by Mouseron. Spekthra really can't. Because it doesn't even need to attack the Megataunt monster. It can just go straight for the other attacking monster on the enemy team. And it is also faster as well, right? It has 6424 base speed at level 100, which is one of the fastest speeds in the game. It's not the fastest anymore, right? It's behind a couple of monsters by this point, but it is still one of the fastest monsters in the game. So outspeeding it is going to be really tough. And if it goes first, in general, it can really, really just tear up your strategy, especially if it gets, you know, even if it's like the AI controlling the team, it's like if it hits your Megataunt monster with Dispelling Fist and it has other monsters that can, you know, really just mess with your strategy, you basically lost the match. And yeah, I just think that, you know, even though the Lord is the one who started this whole corrupted era, I still think Spekthra is arguably the best monster in the game, assuming that you can, you know, equip it with the right teammates and things like that. So yeah, that's my verdict. Spekthra is better than Lord Nebotus. I would say Lord Nebotus might be the second best monster in the game, but I still think Spekthra is the best. Just because of all of its ways that it can be used and the fact that it doesn't have really any limits on how it can be used because it has Pierce. So, you know, as long as it's on the field, nothing is really safe. Whereas Lord Nebotus, yes, he is crazy, crazy powerful. He does a lot of damage, but he can still be walled in certain circumstances. And if you played the Era Saga, you might have noticed this. Yeah, that's basically all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was relatively informative. If you liked the video, please leave a like, please subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.